Well, hello there, my fellow dungeon crawlers. It's Ic0n, and this is part 5 of our adventures with the Gargoyle Monk and his ancestor Celandrion. And yeah, last episode we were clearing out Snake Pit pretty efficiently. We were clearing vaults level 1 and sticked our heads into Elf 1. We're carrying around 2 runes at this point. We're considerably well equipped with a nice bunch of resistances here. I'm still lacking some stacked fire or cold resistances, but it's okay. We've cleared the first room of the Elven Halls and off we go for more adventures. I think I'm really good with clearing Elf 1 and 2. That was the kind of thing I wanted to do for this episode and for this run so far. And I'm gonna see where I'm gonna go next when Elf 1 and 2 are done. It's also mattering a lot what kind of loot we find down here, if we find a good shop or anything else that will help us clearing out other areas. And this fight is one fight I don't want to take. This Elven Mage was hiding behind his minions too hard, and it's a lot easier to kite out and get back in. Wait until the summons dissipate, and yeah, as you've noticed, pretty easy win on this side. It's always the kind of strategy you need to run when you're facing strong summoners. Here goes the first flying weapon, was a battle axe of chopping, but we were dealing pretty well with it. No problem at all. These animated weapons are pretty good when you're a melee competent, but if you're a caster, these things are really dangerous because they're super quick. I think they're very fast, I think. No, not fast. But it's still enough that you can't outrun them if you don't happen to be a Spriggan or something like that. And yeah, they also tend to happen to be immune to electricity, very resistant to fire and cold, immune to poison and negative energy, and this leaves up very little magic schools to actually hurt these things. It's pretty hard to take them down if you're not prepared, and they're certainly one of the most dangerous things that can happen to you if you're a spellcaster. Luckily, we're not a spellcaster, so these flying weapons are not harmless. There are still some flying weapons I need to take very seriously, especially the distortion ones, for example. They're really dangerous because you can't really outrun them, and every single hit from these things can vanish you into the abyss. And yeah, even if you're not getting banished, getting teleported randomly around the area is also very obnoxious and can lead you into very dangerous situations. Alright, but luckily we're having our ancestor on our side, and well, let's just hope we're not facing any distortion weapons down here. Sometimes you're lucky, but well, we'll see. So there goes a hand axe of flaming. That's not much of a hassle here. We're just taking it down pretty easily. So did I find any enchant weapon scrolls here? No, sadly not. Check if I didn't pick some up or didn't buy some. The Trident of Venom, that's also really not scary for us, being completely poison immune on this character. This Flail of Draining didn't manage to drain us, luckily. But, well, if I don't get drained hard, draining is not so much of a big deal for me. So, there we go, another bunch of elves. They took Celandrion down, but that's something that just happens along fights. He is pretty vulnerable. If you want a more durable ancestor, you should go for the Knight. But yeah, for my scenario this works out pretty fine. So we're down to Elf 2 now. Facing a flying weapon. And we're gonna recall our ancestor, because I really want to have him around in every situation. These flying weapons are also mindless, which means I think Celandrion can't debilitate them at all. And something just smacked me for a crap ton of damage. That's the thing about a gargoyle. You feel invulnerable until something punches through your armor. So this is an interesting room. There are some beaten down flying weapons. I think the entrance to the Hall of the Flying Blades is not far around. So this was just the entry tile. But again, I think I'm gonna skip out on this area because I really feel it's not worth the danger going in. I'd only go for the Hall of Flying Blades when I'm lacking some good weapon, and yet still, if this is the scenario, I somehow have to kill these things. That's also a bit of a problem if you're under-equipped and going to this area. So always take it carefully. Speaking of taking it carefully, there's a Nekosek around, which is really annoying. And we're gonna bring this mage down as long as he's paralyzed. And we got malmutated, so our scrolls need a bit longer to read. That's actually something I don't want to have, but it's my only potion of mutation here. Mutation. It's also the only potion of mutation we've found in the whole game. That's a bit unlucky. So there goes Azrael, which is, well, let's see if we have a... So if we had another source of fire resistance, I'd say this fight would have been very easy. But considering that I'm now lacking some extra fire resistance, gonna be careful. Gonna be kiting around corners so don't get hit too much. But, well, Azrael was absolutely no big deal for us, luckily. He's one of those uniques which really most of the time only get pretty dangerous if you're lacking resistance from fire, but which, well, is just not often the case because he spawns very late in the game, and normally you're just having that one pip of fire resistance you need to make this fight doable. But without fire resistance, I think he's pretty dangerous. But I don't remember any really problematic situations with this unique in my crawl experience, so I guess he's one of the more easy uniques to meet. But as always, it all depends on your setup, on the situation, and your moment when you find him. Okay, so we're done with Elf 2. And I don't dare to stick my head into Elf 3 at this point. I think I could do it, yet still I don't feel like risking this. So we're gonna go for the first level of the depths now, because I think that's something I can do. And I'm actually really thinking about going through some mutagenic chunks as soon as I meet some ugly things. And, well, that's only some thoughts I'm having. So we're at the entry of the depths here, and we're facing some really ugly scenario. So I want to step behind my ancestor while the wizard is coming towards us, and I'm gonna focus him down as hard as I can and step back onto the stairs and go back upstairs. So let's divide this fight a bit, because there's too much trouble going around here, and the fire dragon can punch me from the stairs, which is pretty scary. Speaking of scary, being confused near a pool of lava is also pretty scary. Those ogres got melted. So we're gonna go back up again, because this is kind of a sticky situation here. I'm gonna recall Celandrion, rest up, go back down, And I think we might be able to clear it from this point. So the zombie got paralyzed. There's a glowing orange brain. I really want to take this down because there are summoners as well. And yeah, it's pretty simple if you can kill the summoners. If you can't kill them, you gotta run. That's fighting summoners in a nutshell. Okay, so we're gonna recall Celandrion. We're facing 2 fire giants and an anti-zombie, which is, well, pretty doable, and I'm very confident that this all went so good. So we're gonna eat this. Oh, we're too full to eat anything. Well, maybe it's better. I don't know yet. So the scroll malmutation is pretty obnoxious, actually. Then on the other hand, I'm a gargoyle. I can sufficiently tank 1 or 2 hits. But, well, I don't like the you take longer to read scrolls malmutation, because this can really bring you into a terrible situation when you really need to teleport fast or something like that. Stuff can get pretty ugly. So there's the first portal into Pandemonium. Ain't that nice? But I'm not into Pandemonium diving here. And say hi to Nicola. So I'm having no might potions. I have potions of resistance, which is absolutely unnecessary in this scenario, because we're already resistant to electricity and there's no thing as more resistance to electricity. But obviously we got it down pretty quickly. And there's more electricity, and this is getting pretty ugly pretty quickly, so I'm gonna start retreating while I can. Those spark wasps get into my way as much as they can though. So there goes a great orb of ice. I want to check. Okay, so their effects are really at a very, very low percentage for me to hit. That's good. These things can get pretty dangerous if you're not resistant enough. And luckily we're featuring enough magic resistance to make this fight pretty easy. So there's a random hippogriff. That's kind of harsh for the hippogriff to be slaughtered here. It's not your level anymore, my friend. You're out of depth in the wrong way. So yeah, that's the normal course of entering the depths for me by now, because this happens to me quite a lot, that I enter depths and get immediately swarmed from all sides with all sorts of baddies. And yeah, look at this. Certainly don't want to fight this like that. But this staircase is especially good for me, because Celandrion does a lot of instant kills with his confusion. And I really want to get rid of this Rakshasa, yet still I just keep hammering into these copies. And luckily the incoming ogre horde got mass confused by Celandrion. And yeah, this is the point where our ancestor really starts to shine for us. He can debilitate with the mass confusion. He can debilitate a lot of enemies at once with mass confusion. That's the point. So we're at 21 now. Our strength hit just 23, which is the point where you're pretty set for wearing a crystal plate armor. I don't know if it's enough for gold dragon scales yet, but we'll see. And those gloves look interesting. Let's check. What do I wear? I do wear some +0 normal gloves. We're gonna exchange this. Resistance to negative energy is really nice to have. We're gonna be running into more and more sources of negative energy damage. And alongside, the regeneration is also something I want to have, especially with my low health pool. This is a very, very good trait to have. And the Tengu gets instantly confused. Yeah. So this chainmail would be a nice thing if I weren't a gargoyle, which is immune to electricity from the start. And this would be a very nice chainmail. +7 is pretty decent. Resist electricity, blink, good stuff, really good stuff. But we're not needing it. So, looks like the onslaught of the entrance here is over. So let's take down this shapeshifter and the Rakshasa, because they're just pretty obnoxious with their permanent copying of enemies. So we found a scroll of summoning. That's very handy when you get outnumbered and can't fight anymore. It's a very good situation to pop a scroll of summoning when you're facing situations like that. So there goes the first Spriggan pack, and I thought it was just a normal Spriggan pack, but it's the Enchantress, which is very, very scary unique to face. And I think I'm gonna retreat here for now. Let's see, I'm confused, my magic resistance got stripped, so I'm really in a bad spot here. The strip resistance effect from the Enchantress is very strong, and we're fleeing here, but we got the Spriggan Defender with the Leisure Tang of Protection and the Enchantress. So we got no real good options here. I wonder if I should go for a resistance potion here, or the cancellation, but so far gonna try kill the Enchantress as fast as possible. But right now it looks like we're not able to hit her at all, so this was the first hit. And there comes Celandrion back into the game. I was waiting for that to happen because, yeah, his debilitations help a lot. As soon as she got confused, she was pretty dead instantly. So there's the Fairy Dragon Scales, which is very good armor. You always find this on the Enchantress, but I don't need those. I really don't need those. And actually I'm pretty happy that I faced the Enchantress here that early. So we got back up here with the two Spriggan Air Mages, and I turned off my flying feat because they can cast Airstrike, which deals tremendous amounts of damage if you're flying. If you're not flying, the spell is pretty weak, but always keep that in mind. So our shield went to level 15. That's the point where I was where I wanted to switch over to the large shield, but there was a Spriggan I overlooked somehow. Well, they're pretty small, it's okay. So we've lost 3 AC, but we've got 7 shield rating on top of that, so I think we made a good deal here. 47 AC is pretty good. And yeah, wielding a large shield is very nice because you start blocking a lot of stuff, and really dangerous things like Crystal Spear can be blocked by shields, which means I have an extra roll when something very deadly is heading my way to just block it and let it do nothing to me, which is very, very valuable. That's why I wanted to go for a shield. You can go for two-handed weapons on a gargoyle, but then you have to go for well, you need to cover up some other items then. You want to have some reflection source. Maybe you want to join the Shining One to have a artificial bonus on your shield rating, stuff like that. Maybe you want to roll for some mutations to get some bone plates on your arms. That helps a lot too. Provides shield rating as well. Because being super frail means you are very reliant on blocking stuff, which can kill you. And yeah. So there we go. That's a Deep Troll Earth Mage. These guys, you gotta take them seriously, because they have these Rapid Deconstruction, which is a spell which immediately shatters and hurts constructs, and surprise, we're a gargoyle. That counts as a construct. These guys can blow you up pretty good, and the main problem with Least Rapid Deconstruction is that blocking line of sight won't help. It's a so-called smite-based spell, which means as long as the caster can see you somehow, he can cast it on you. Doesn't matter how many people are standing between you and the enemy. That's what we call a smite-based cast. That's true for airstrike and stuff like that. And we're again gonna stop flying. If it was only for this Spriggan Air Mage, would have kept flying, but these Titans are also able of casting airstrike, and that's the point where I really didn't want to mess around. Already took a lot of damage in this situation. So Celandrion got killed, but we got the Vampire Mage down as well. And this area looks pretty spooky. I think I hit a vault or something like that, because Titans at this point are more often than not an indicator for, hey, you entered a vault here. Maybe I'm wrong, but this tile set around this place looks pretty vaulty to me, so I'm gonna be careful here. There might be some really good loot in the middle of this area, but there might be something really brutal like a Juggernaut or some caustic shrikes or some real ugly baddies you don't want to face. Okay, but so far I have to say we're doing pretty well here. And there goes the deconstruction. We got shattered, which is pretty obnoxious. And yep, this is definitely a vault. Lots of dangerous stuff streaming towards us, and I don't like this situation because I have a Deep Troll Earth Mage around this corner. There's the lightning, spark wasps, which are really quick as well. So I think I'm gonna idealize Celandrion and hope he'll do some work being idealized. And for now, this situation is pretty okay-ish, but it just took a downward turn again. Downward turn, not turn. So what I'm gonna try is bringing down the Earth Mage, and there goes a mass confusion on those baddies. So I'm gonna try taking down this Hell Knight, and after that we're trying to kill this Titan. And at this point we are pretty surrounded by a crap ton of large abominations, and we're gonna read the teleportation scroll even though we're reading it at a very slow speed. But I felt really uncomfortable in this situation. I took out a lot of dangerous stuff. The Earth Elementalist is down, the Titan is dead, took down a Hell Knight, but still there's a lot of pressure around this corner, and rather take it safely here. See if we can take it from a different angle and get some more safety into this. Don't want to get swarmed like that, especially when I'm lacking any might potions. I'm not owning any haste potions. I'm not even having heal wounds. So that's overall a very, very bad resource pool to fight something like that recklessly. So this troll pack has no Earth Mage on them, so I can take them down pretty easily. Celandrion died, but he left some debilitations on these guys, so I can safely kill them without him. And there go the abominations, but as long as they're not clumped together with so many enemies, it's pretty okay. So there goes that +2 helmet of Sea Invisible, which is an upgrade in terms of armor class. Helmets do have 1 point of armor class without being enchanted, while hats have no armor class. unless they get enchanted. So that's a little upgrade. Nothing too big, nothing too special, but definitely don't want to say no to that. And there's a crap load of abominations around and this shadow dragon, but we're gonna go for the paralyzed Ic0n first, because paralyzed enemies are free kills. And you, well, as long as there is no big threat upon you, you should always focus down paralyzed enemies first, because they really die quickly. There goes a tentacled monstrosity. Yep, this is definitely some vault in the middle here. There have been too many out of depth monsters here, because two titans, that's one indicator. The shadow dragon also is not ordinary here. Shadow dragons regularly spawn when you hit the closer vicinity to Zot or the realm of Zot itself. But apart from that, in the depths they're more likely to be vault enemies. That's not always true, because this game generates a lot of stuff quite randomly, so you gotta go more over the map indicators in this scenario like this. Okay. All this rambling comes down to one point. What I'm trying to say is, if you notice areas like these, especially in the late game, but actually in every phase of the game, you really should tone down your pace a bit, especially if you're fast clearing so far, and be careful, take it slowly, have an eye on which enemies there are around, because most likely you have to face one or two enemies which are too strong for the point where you're right now, and these enemies shouldn't be taken lightly. So that's one lesson about vault raiding. Doesn't work for me every time though. I keep dying from time to time in vaults too. So this is the centerpiece, and you wouldn't get that without a wand of digging. Luckily we have a wand of digging for all this crap. But okay, that was a big chunk of experience. That's also worth something. And I think I'm good to go further into the depths here, because so far we were running into no bigger troubles here. Now look at this Ic0n captain. He chunked through 30 points of our hit points here, even with an AC armor class of 50. So that's the base damage of crossbows. So there's Asterion. He can bring up greater demons, which is a bit spooky. He's wielding a broad axe of electrocution, which is also pretty spooky. Which means I'm gonna take this swing by swing. Keep an eye open on the demons he's spawning, but the green death was absolutely no threat for me at all, because green deaths are poison demons, which is really not dangerous at all for me. So there's another Titan, and there's Menace. Menace the Menace. Okay. So this guy is really dangerous when you're a spellcaster, but he's also not harmless as a melee combatant. So we're carefully taking a few swings on him, and so far we're not doing too much damage here. I have a few potions of haste, which is good, actually, but I don't know if I want to bail on this or not. I'm gonna try and take some swings, okay, but this fight is overall not going too well for me here. He has the ability to heal himself, but on the other hand, it takes every time 5 to 6 hits from me until he gets in a hit on me again. So maybe we're able to bring him down slowly. And as long as no further enemies are joining into this, I think I could be able to win this. So I'm gonna idealize Celandrion here when the silence is down, and hopefully he's able to do something. And there comes Mara and joins this battle. So that's kind of like a worst case scenario for this fight. So I'm gonna duck out, gonna retreat. Luckily, Manas wields a trident, a holy trident, Trishula, which led to the fact that he didn't want to follow me upstairs. And yeah, this means we're not gonna proceed into depths here. We're absolutely not gonna proceed here. It's not safe to fight this area, so we're gonna head again to vaults, clear a few levels there. And when I'm down to Waltz 4 or something like that, I think I could be able to go for L3 or something like that. But the combination of Mara and Menace on the same floor is really unlucky. That's a very, very unlucky boss spawn there. Because potentially, if these two guys run into each other, I think Mara could be able to make copies of this angel, and that's where stuff will get pretty ugly if I'm facing more than one of these angels and can't discern which one is the real one, which one is the clone. No, definitely don't want to see that happen. I'm really thinking about skipping Depths 3 for some reason right now, but we're gonna see how stuff will work out. Maybe I'm able to pull up Menace to floor 2 of the depths and separate him this way from Mara. This could be a safe call, because as far as I've seen it, I was able to punch him pretty good, and he took quite a while to bring in his hits on me, which means we're probably safe to fight him. But I'd really prefer to do so with a Potion of Might in my inventory there. So the Ironbrand Convoker got through his word of recall. There's a mass confusion going on, and this will make stuff pretty easy here for us. I think Vaults is a very safe place to raid right now. Not Vaults 5 though. Gotta be careful with this area, but Vaults 2 to 4 should be very good areas to level up further and proceed. So there's a general store. We're gonna pick up this scroll of TP, this potion of haste. Don't want this potion of resistance immediately, but I'm gonna mark it for later. So there's a vial of flood. Well, do I want to have it? Actually no, because I really don't have too much gold on me, and the vial of floods is nothing I really want to have like as fast as possible now. No, I already got my hexer. I already got some backup if I need it. And yeah, I rather want to save my money for some future shop and hope at some point there will be something very useful I want to have. Something which buffs up my resistances further, or some really important stuff. Right now this pile of floods would be only one situational effect, and that's it. Then it has to recharge and won't do anything else for me. Considering that this would cost me more than half of my gold right now, I'll pass. And hope I'll find some shops at some point. Okay, so there's a Vault Sentinel. It's only 6% chance of marking me right now, and we're getting there. The passive growth of my magic resistance here is kicking in pretty well, and ugly things are really no problem anymore. Our Hexer has a base damage of 18 right now, which is really much, considering that on this base damage of 18 you gotta add up his dagger as well. I don't know how much plus levels his dagger has, but it's pretty okay damage. Yet still, he's a bit squishy. He dies pretty fast. And there's another potion of heal wounds that makes me feel a lot safer right now. So there goes down the Orc Knight and the Orc Sorcerer, and that's the point where this fight is not a fight anymore, but a slaughter. Okay, some Wolf Spider, some Bone Dragon. Okay, so let's have some fun and bring up our Holy Rod weapon into this Bone Dragon, because I think this could be very, very nice. But as a matter of fact, I don't know if this was such a good choice. I mean, it died, it didn't hurt me, but I felt like probably my spear would have been faster in terms of killing. So there goes a bunch of Vault Guardians. Celandrion is pretty much in a hassle here, so I'm gonna idealize him, bring him back to some HP, because I don't want to let the confusion stop here. This really makes fights a lot more safe for me when he can't successfully pull off a mass confusion on the enemies. So there's the entrance to the crypt. That's okay too, but I don't think I want to enter the crypt here. The Crypt and Tomb of the Ancients are two really, really scary areas, and you'll be facing a lot of undead, you'll be facing a lot of torment, and there's a smoking arbalest, but no, I'm gonna pass because there's no way I'm gonna drop this shield and go for two-handed weapons. That's not gonna happen. We're a shield user for this run. So I'm not even curious about what kind of item it is. This would only hurt because I can't use it. So we're tabbing through these pretty recklessly, but there's no real threat in this room. Some Yektor, some Centaur, some Shapeshifter. The time when this stuff was dangerous for us is long over here. So there are some slime creatures. You gotta take them seriously no matter when you meet them, because of the melding part, and when they combine too much, they can be pretty dangerous for any adventurer. So there's another wizard. It's definitely a lot of wizards this WoD run. I feel like there's wizards everywhere, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's always that many wizards. I don't know. But so far, I'm noticing how quick, in terms of killing, this character has become. We're slicing through basic enemies in a very impressive speed. And that's the point where I get a bit anxious, because when stuff starts to get too easy, that's the point where I usually start making mistakes. As long as I'm struggling, I'm normally playing pretty safe, pretty focused, pretty concentrated, and they locked out Celandrion, so I'm gonna recall him. I don't want to have my ancestor locked out here. And he's dancing around behind me, confusing stuff, paralyzing stuff. This ancestor was such a sweet choice. We got so lucky with our random god conduct on the monk. And yeah, if you want to have a funny run, go for some race you want to play, tab in the monk, and go for the first god you need and see what it will do with your play. It's really a fun conduct to play. Although I really think, like, the last game I pulled the Shining One on a Minotaur. This game I'm pulling Hep on a Gargoyle, so there would have been a lot of more weird choices. So let's imagine I've pulled Sifmuna or Vehumit or something like that as my god. That would have changed my plans in terms of skilling by a lot. There's a Vampiric Broadex. That's an interesting weapon. Vampiric products can easily carry you to victory, but I feel like I don't want to go for it. So there's a first Lich. He has used a spell which showed us that he is not able to summon greater demons, which is already pretty nice. But he has banishment, he has haunt. That's why I want to kill him first. I mean, it's only 2% chance of getting banished, but sometimes these 2% will strike. And it happened to me a lot in Elven Halls when I had something like 2 or 3% chance to getting banished, and it just kept happening from time to time, even with the very, very low percentage chance here. And this fight is pretty enormous. There is a lot of enemies here streaming towards us, but somehow fights are a lot easier with this insane amount of confusion pressure our ancestor puts up into these guys. So there's some tentacled monstrosity, but on Waltz 4 it's okay to meet these. It's part of the program, it's part of the fun by now. So, facing an Ic0n and a Phantasmal Warrior, so was a bit more careful for a moment, because Ic0ns can dish out tremendous amounts of damage. Their weaponry has a decent base damage. Oh, you can't dig out those. Their weaponry has a decent base damage, and even if I'm featuring a lot of armor class, it still has the chance to hurt me a lot because of the high base damage here. And this fight is pretty dangerous, so I'm gonna idealize Celandrion with this. And he gets instantly smacked on the idealize. Well, that's not exactly what I was hoping to happen, but it's okay. Sometimes a hexer can't withstand these enemies. And these convokers keep summoning and summoning, and they're hiding behind their buddies. But that's okay, because these convokers, they can summon more enemies than those which are on the floor, so they're basically similar to the sentinels in an interesting way, because the sentinels can mark you, which leads to the condition that everything on the floor will rush towards you, and the convokers are, with the word of recall, kind of like a reverse marking. They mark themselves, and then stuff swarms in onto their position, which is kind of like comparably dangerous, but I still think that marking is still more dangerous if you have no cancellation potion on you, or happen to be a mummy and can't quaff cancellation potions, which really stinks in these situations. But yeah. So we're almost done with Waltz level 4, which is pretty nice. We were running into not too many troubles here. This area was kind of a breeze to clear. I'm pretty happy with this. So there's another magic plate armor. I really want to try it out because, and it turns out that it's an identical copy of our old plate armor. It's +2 and it's cold resistance, just like the predecessor. And there's a rendered ring. Awesome. Let's ID it. It's resist cold, strength, and see invisible. It's a nice one. And this will definitely replace my Ring of Ice here, because it has, compared to the Ring of Ice, no drawbacks, which is something I like. And it's okay to replace that. Rings of Ice are only really interesting if you're into ice magic, because of the damage increase on these rings. Under these circumstances, sometimes it's also interesting to somehow work around the vulnerability to fire to keep it permanently up, because it just increases your damage, which is really nice if you're relying on this source of damage a lot. But that's not our scenario. Speaking of scenarios, there is an Entropy Weaver which got immediately confused by our ancestor, and I'm stepping forward and killing it first. Because Entropy Weavers are kind of like one of the most dangerous enemies to meet in this game. I see them on a similar danger rating like a Caustic Shrike, because they can really corrode you like crazy, even if you're wearing corrosion resistance. And several players are begging for some nerf on these. And I partially agree, because sometimes you wear a corrosion resistance source and they hammer out their corrosion spell turn after turn after turn, and after 5 turns you end up on a minus 16 corrosion, and somehow you only resisted one of those spells, even with the resist corrosion on. This feels kind of like, why should I even bother trying to resist that? And I don't think that's a good thing. I think their chances should be a bit lower on corroding, but that's only my personal opinion. So we're down to Elf 3, and this is where stuff gets pretty interesting. So there's a bunch of elves screaming towards us. I'm gonna magic map this level, not yet, because we have blurred vision. Don't wanna read scrolls with this demonologist around with blurred vision. So these mages keep spamming demons too, which is okay, because we kill them as fast as they summon, so it's really no problem. And I wonder if this is already the final vault. I think it is. So let's have a look. We're magic map this. And yeah, this is a fortress-like layout, which is pretty interesting. Can't remember I have played this yet. Let's hope there's no big evil surprise I'm not ready for. So we're gonna go and put an exclusion on this door, because I don't want to get randomly auto-explored into this. And putting an exclusion on this door leads to that situation in which I can auto-explore without being afraid of randomly stumbling into the final vault and attracting stuff I don't want to face while auto-exploring. So that's pretty okay. Exclusions are a very, very useful tool to configure your auto-exploring. Yeah. So there's some player ghost. It's a Formicid fighter with a lot of hit points, with a lot of magic resistance, so Celandrion won't do too much into him. 41 damage, which is also quite a punch, but well, let's take out this glaive first and check if we can just hammer him down. I mean, I have a lot of block chance. Yep, he didn't even scratch me once. That's really good. So there's a potion, one of the few missing potions. It was invisibility, very good. There are even some late game situations where invisibility is really nice, and drowning people is also very nice. This hexer, he already did a lot of kills by doing this. Okay, so we're gonna drop the exclusion on this door, and this is kind of a spicy situation, because there's not really a good area to put up kill holes. This is a very long pathing with these enemies, and yeah, I think it's one of the more dangerous layouts for the final vault on Elven Halls. I really like areas where I can dig my kill holes like I want them, and yeah. This won't happen here. Although, there's one plus side on this layout. The Deep Elf Elementalists won't be able to summon too many Earth Elementals out of these vaults, because these vaults can't be animated. They can only animate the regular diggable tiles, which is kind of a good thing, because they can spam so many Earth Elementals in a very short amount of time. That can get very dangerous from time to time. So I cleared out the outer ring first, before I went into the next ring, and we're really clearing this out carefully. I'm skipping out this room because it's connected to the center room, which I really want to try to avoid as long as possible, so we're gonna skip this room as well. Go for that room now, clear out the little elves, and it looks like all the powerful evil elves I'm fearing are in the center vault. So I think it's a very good plan to clear out the other rooms first. So here we go. And here we are. So this is gonna be the most spicy part of the Elven Halls. And I think I want to start with this room, because it's that one room where I have an angle where I can step behind a corner like that and break the line of sight of these guys. And looks like the Deep Elf Elementalist did some work here, and we really want to bring down the Demonologist first. So let's check the situation. We're facing two Death Magi and a Blade Master. What kind of rapiers is he wielding? Just normal rapiers. That's actually really lucky. These guys are getting more and more dangerous the better their equipment gets. So let's check. I'm really lucky so far. These two Blade Masters are only wielding regular weapons, so I can pretty much ignore them and focus the more dangerous elves first. So I'm gonna idealize here again, because I wanna keep Celandrion alive as long as possible, because obviously he's doing a really good job in confusing these elves a lot. So the Death Mage put up some abominations, which get disabled pretty quickly by Celandrion. I'm gonna idealize again. I don't care about the loss of piety at this point. And I really want to bring down the Death Mage first. And now we're in a very bad situation. So I'm gonna kite this back down this hallway, where I can only face one enemy at a time. But the Earth Elementalist says, nope, we're not gonna do this like that. And we're gonna do this with blurred vision. And okay, everything's fine, because right now this situation is only getting worse. So we're teleporting out of this, take the fight from another angle, break the line of sight with the Demonologist again, so he only starts summoning as soon as we are able to hit him. So down goes the Annihilator. Ugh. That's very, very unlucky positioning from this Demonologist. Trying to reach over this Master Archer and kill the Demonologist first. Got him, so his summons are out of the game. And we're going to kill this Elementalist, because these Earth Elementals are slow and everything, but still they can pack quite a punch if they hit. So let's take down this Annihilator. Okay, we got this. And we already got a lot of pressure out of this fight. So there goes another Death Mage, which went into spectral form. That's really an obnoxious feat from these guys. They can also put up this buff on their allies, which really can prolong fights in a very, very ugly way. So these Death Magi are also people you want to kill pretty quickly. But that's the main issue with these deep elves. They are really featuring so many high tier enemies you just want to kill quickly. The normal elves you can ignore a lot, but on the high end, the sorcerers are really dangerous. He has luckily no chance of banishing me anymore, but they can banish. They can hurl damnation. That's really nothing you can take lightly. I'm really happy that I hit the 0% chance of banishment on these guys. So it looks like we've cleared out this angle. I'm not gonna follow into this room any deeper. I'm trying to take this center piece from different angles. Now from this side. Let's see. Looks safe. So we're gonna swap to the last side. I mean, I could probably finish this by going directly into the mid, but I could also be probably just nuked down. I don't know it. So let's check. So he has a Leisure Tang of Protection, which is really scary, so we're stepping behind this corner. So an artifact item, so gotta take it serious. It could be plus 15. You never know. So we got a scroll brand weapon from this guy, which is pretty insane. Okay, so looks like we're clearing out this situation pretty quickly. There's another Annihilator. We're gonna try killing him over the head of Celandrion, which worked out pretty decently. And yeah, looks like we're on a good way of finishing the Elven Halls here. I think we're almost done here. Maybe one or two dangerous enemies left, but overall we had a very smooth clear here. So let's be careful with this part. Somewhere in these walls there tends to be one or two more dangerous elves. So there we are, a Necronomicon. Really nice if you're into necromancy. A Shimmering Brodex. Gotta try that. So we're gonna ditch the Morning Star. I'm not gonna use this. And I'm gonna ID this. I'm not gonna wield it because it can have very bad stats. And it's a Freezing Brodex with the Fragile. It will be destroyed if unequipped. I'm not too sure about this. I'm definitely gonna drop the Amulet of Rage. And we're gonna go for some check if we missed some artifacts on Elf 3. But it looks like we only overlooked the Scorched Hand Axe, which is pretty boring. So, in case you didn't notice, this phrase will show you all artifacts on a particular level, which is a very, very good option. So I'm gonna auto-explore now, because from time to time you overlook those. So we're done here, which means we have the options between a lot of ugly places. We can go for Depths 3, where's Mara and Menace. We can go for Vault 5, which is also very dangerous, but possibly the next proper step. And we don't have any Might Potion for Menace, which is really something I feel really bad about this fact. Yet still, we've got a Scroll of Silence in our pocket, which is really good. I'm carrying around a Scroll of Summoning that could be useful as well. So, anyways, I'm gonna go for Depths 2 for now, and call it an episode for today, because this recording is about an hour now, and I think it's a very good point in the game to take a short break and regain my focus and be happy that I survived all this Although I'm not too happy with the loot so far. No scrolls of acquirement, no really good artifacts. I mean, let's check if there's anything I've overlooked here. That happens from time to time. So there's this arbalest I didn't check. It's okay, a leisure tang, short swords. As you can notice, there are really not many artifact rings or something like that in this game. Not too many artifact auxiliary armor slots like helmets, boots, or anything like that. So, not too many artifacts in this run. No, not at all. Okay, so we're done here. I'm happy I'm living, and thanks for watching this episode. On the next episode, we're gonna face some serious trouble in going deeper into the dungeon, or the depths rather, and yeah, leave me a comment if you still think that I need to change something about my audio settings or on the video settings, or some general feedback. I'd always be happy to hear some voices from you guys. Yeah, thanks for watching, and hope we'll see each other soon again. See ya, bye bye.